Hey everyone, welcome back to Stag voiceover. My name is Neil Glasgow. So, in today's video, I'm going to address a question that I had in from one of the commenters. And that question was, hi, I'm just starting out. What should I audition for? That was a bigger question than I think they thought it was going to be. And it just made me think, do you know what? I might have an answer to that, so I thought I'd give it to you guys as well. So with that in mind, let's get into it. So, speaking with this particular commenter a little bit back and forth, my initial question was really about, well, okay, tell me a little bit about your voice or send me a link just so I can go into that a little bit with them. And ultimately, it just made me think, ultimately, these aren't replicable questions. So if you've got a very particular accent, we've talked about mine before, you may play well in different localities. It may be that you're looking at different character work or whatever it is. Looking at something and thinking, should I audition for this? And I'm going to tell you a story, an anecdote. I'm going to tell you an anecdote. Gather round, children. So I do quite a lot of work in the UK, Scotland, England, some bits in Wales, but mainly Scotland and England, not so much Northern Ireland. That's the UK, by the way. That is Great Britain, for anyone who doesn't know, not just England. Anyway, so I do quite a lot of work there. I do work in India, I do work in America, Australia, Netherlands, Spain. I'm all over. However, I had a conversation with an agent maybe just before Christmas, and it was for an ad that was being played in Singapore. Southeast Asia, essentially, is where this is going to go out. And they essentially went along the lines of, you sound great. We could never use you. And it was for Samsung. We could never use you. I said, why? Like, what's the story? What's going on? And essentially, it's my voice. It's my accent. In that part of the world where they learn English, they either learn American, accented English, or they are used to the very generic, and I don't like using that term, but very generic English accent. So the RP, Buckinghamshire, Queen's English, how now, brown cow, that sort of thing. Now, I can affect those accents, but it's not quite right for what they're looking for. And that made me think of, okay, well, this person's asking me, what should I audition for? And ultimately, it's about making sure that you can audition for what works for you. I, thinking on it, have never landed a job that has been based anywhere in Southeast Asia. Korea, Japan, China, never. In my entire career. And it never occurred to me that it was because of my sound versus what they could, and I say this very tongue-in-cheek, understand. Okay? There is a misconception perhaps, that people in that area of the world are expecting a very specific style of English, and anything outside of that they find it very difficult to hear. When you're doing voiceover adverts, people aren't going to listen in on that, especially, the Samsungs of the world paying what they pay. But I play very well if I'm in America and I'm doing a whiskey advert, for example. I play very well in Scotland, obviously. But if I just said, okay, I have a Scottish accent and I'm only going to work in Scotland, my career would be about this big. And that's because Scotland has a population lower than some cities in the rest of the UK. Scotland's got a population of about 6 million, maybe 7 million at this point. London, I think, has 9 million. Birmingham has 5-6 million. There are more people in cities than there is in the entirety of the country I'm from. Which means two things. Scotland is beautiful. It's empty. It's lovely. Mountains, sheep, deer. It's lovely. Rivers and lakes and, homing and lobing and going. But there's nobody there. And that means that the market for production houses and producers and creative directors that would use my voice, that makes the competition pool massive, but also the opportunity pool a lot lower. And that's ultimately what you need to think about when you're looking at these auditions. If I'm going to audition for somewhere in Southeast Asia, I know that the odds are stacked against me. I know if I'm going to audition for something in Scotland, I may have quite a lot of competition there. However, if I go to a production house or I audition for something that's looking for my style perhaps, but in a foreign country, in Spain, in the Netherlands, in France, in Germany, where maybe people aren't reaching out with your style, work can happen. And I work, as I say, all over the place. And it's good work. And I would say to anybody, audition for the things that work for you. I work with people at the moment where it's children's books and e-learning and that sort of stuff. They're really comfortable, but just lose the plot when it comes to doing commercial work or corporate work or anything around that. They're not comfortable in those areas. Well, fine. Don't waste your time. And that's ultimately what it comes down to, is your time as a voiceover artist is really precious. Every moment you spend doing this job not earning money brings your overall average earnings down, really, ultimately. So I would say audition for the things that you can do and do well. And doing well is the second thing. Now, I can do, just as a very stupid example, I can do a Cockney accent. I could do a Cockney accent that will pass muster in America, in India, in Australia, all over the world. I can do a Cockney accent. If I did my Cockney accent in Whitechapel, in London, I may get my head kicked in because it's not quite as authentic, and it's someone inflecting things. Same story if Mike Myers walked down the street in Glasgow with his Shrek accent. People in Scotland will have a thing or two to say about that because it's what the rest of the world expects Scottish people to sound like, and it really isn't. Same with, everyone in England doesn't sound like the Queen. That's a very, very, very small demographic. Plays well all over the world, not where it's from. And ultimately, if I'm doing an audition and they're asking for a Lancastrian accent or a Brummie accent, I can do them. But if it's going to play in Birmingham or in Lancaster or in Texas, are they going to pick me because of my authenticity? Yeah, that throws it up in the air. So that's what I would suggest that you do and don't audition for. Don't audition for things that you're A, not confident in, but B, know where it's going to be played, and do you sound authentic to the region that you're going to be in, and diversify as much as you possibly can to all the regions that you can possibly go out to get your voice out there. Very weird sentence. But that ultimately was my advice to them, and it's my advice to you of what should I audition for? Everything that you possibly can that you think that you have a chance of being successful at. Otherwise, you're just wasting your own time. And your time is precious. That's it. That's the video. That's the advice. If you like the video, give it a like and subscribe. Share it on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all the other places. And if there's any other questions that you have that you think I might be able to answer, please drop them in the comment section down below. And remember, you can absolutely be a voiceover artist. I'll see you in the next video.